Welcome back to Real Deal Sports Talk with KB, August 21st, 2018.
Mr. Green.
I'm found to be the nicest. On the mic it with rhyme writing. My mind states gone cipher divine righteous. This is the sound of refinement. Extra time spent on every line written. You can hear the difference when I'm rhyming. The barbarian rap writings like Clash of the Titans. I wield the pen like Poseidon holding the golden triton. On the mic I strike faster than vipers and flashes of bolts of lightning. My poetry will leave the Pope enlightened. Whack rappers is past time. You paid the Pied Piper as the price just skyrocket. I stand to make a profit. I rap circles and spirals above your favorite artist like an identifiable flying object with balls so far over your head. I'm honest to be rhyming in high orbit. If I dumb the metaphors down, you think the sky was falling. Rappers' arms too short to shadow box with the lords in the pantheon of rap. I'm the high exalted. The new God flow. Prepare your offering. I treat the booth like the synagogue.
How is everybody doing today? I hope you're doing as good as I am. I hope your day went well. It's Tuesday. We got the beginning of the week. You know, the Mondays out of the way, the dreaded Mondays. Here we are Tuesday, as you can see. We have moved the show to Tuesday and Thursday format, taking it back to Little League football practices when we had them on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the fall. And that just works out better because then I'm not trying to rush a show on Monday nights like I did last year during the season. So changed it up. We're on Tuesdays and Thursdays now. You can see the calendar. All the events that we will have will be on the calendar. That's at the website, realdealsportstalkwithkp.com. All kinds of good stuff there. Go check it out. You can see friends of the show, how to contact them as far as you're talking allsportsmarket.com. You're talking about Marcus Ogden, Vance Johnson, Dr. Chad Nash, the real estate doctor. You're talking the Barbarians, whose track you just heard at the beginning of the show, entitled Intro. Many ways to reach out to all of them. There's ways to reach out and get help if you need it for various things, whether it's physical abuse or suicide help or alcohol and drug addiction. We have that information for you as well. There's ways to reach out to the show. Email format, text line, direct link, you know, all the social medias out there. So check it out. That's good stuff. On today's show, what we got going today is the NFC West predictions. All right, we're to the West. We did the North, South, East of both the AFC and NFC so far. And all we have left to do is the West divisions for both the NFC and AFC. On today's show, we got the NFC West predictions. We'll cover the standings, where they were last year, offensively and defensively for the teams, where I kind of see them go on this team, break down what I see. You know, everybody sees something different. This is just what I see. If you see something different, let me know. Maybe I get you on the show. You know, you never know. So we'll cover that, and then we'll also try and get in some of this new helmet rule. We got enough look at it so far that I don't know what the NFL is going to do with this one. They're not sounding like they're going to do what needs to be done, but we'll get into that a little bit also at the end of the show if we have enough time to really, you know, give it its due. NFC West. All right, so this is a division over the last several years. They've had some of the top teams in the NFC, some of the top teams in the NFL power rankings. You know, Seattle's been up there, back-to-back Super Bowls, almost won back-to-back Super Bowls. The Rams, we saw them escalate last year with this young talent and this young coach. The Cardinals have been up and down. You know, they've reached a Super Bowl as recently with Kurt Warner, Larry Fitzgerald on the team. When Carson Palmer was the quarterback, they were close many times in that division. They've had a good defense for a while. They fell down a little bit last year. The 49ers, a storied franchise in the NFL, 5 Super Bowl victories. All the hype around their new quarterback, the G-Man, Jimmy Garoppolo. Young coach Kyle Shanahan. John Lynch is the GM, 6-year deals, excitement all around. But they went 6-10 last year. Didn't win a game. They won their last 6. That's why the hype train started for Jimmy G. 6 in a row. Oh my goodness, look how good this is. Perfect fit. What can we do next year? Well, we're going to find out. I'll give you my predictions on the 49ers. In fact, that's the first team we're going to get to today. But first, I told you where they ended last year. Rams 11-5, Seattle 9-7, Cardinals 8-8, 49ers 6-10. That's for their 2017 division standings. Now, their 2017 rankings offensively and defensively across the entire NFL. Offensively, Rams had the best offensive in division. They came in 10th. Surprisingly, that 6-game stretch at the end of the season put the 49ers up to the 12th ranked offense. Because for a team that was 0-10, you didn't see them putting up a whole lot of points. Those were close games. But those last 6 games moved 49ers up to 12th by the end of the season. Seattle came in 15th and really was a pretty rough season for Seattle. All the problems they had with their running game and injuries, lack of players, lack of an offensive line, Russell Wilson free balling it the whole time. The Cardinals came in 22nd in offense. A lot of fluctuation there too. David Johnson's out, different receivers in and out of the lineup. Lose Calais Campbell. But that didn't hurt their defense. They still had the best defense in the division. They were 6th in defense in the NFL last year. Only team in the division in the top 10 on either side of the ball. Defensively, Seattle came in 11th. The Rams were 19th. And the 49ers 24th. A lot of these teams expect to be as good, if not better, this season. Especially on the defensive side of the ball. With some of the additions like the Rams, say, added. 49ers, they'd like to be better than 24th. They're being run partly by a guy who made his money on the defensive side of the ball in John Lynch. So they want to end up better than that. So you look at this 49ers team as it's built right now. I like Pierre Garçon. I do. But he's your number one option right now. Okay? I like Dante Pettis, the young guy, Aaron Burbridge. We'll see what you get there. You got the speedster and Marcus Goodwin. Okay, so you've got some pieces. You've got some unknown guys there. You bring in Garrett Selleck, Cole Wick, George Kittle. Okay, so some tight ends maybe that Shanahan's going to figure out how to use. Joe Staley's there. Laken Tomlinson, I wanted him to be great. Trust me, I wanted him to be great when Detroit drafted him, when he was the all-academic out of Kentucky, and he seemed like he was going to be a bruiser, but it never translated in Detroit. So I wish him the best in San Francisco. And then Mike McGlinchey at right tackle, I like that pick. I really do. He's a young guy, but I think he's going to catch on quick. They've got some pieces there. Jerick McKinnon. I like that pickup. Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay, we're going to see what he can do. Now you've given him all this money. Now we're going to see what happens. Defensive side of the ball. Okay, well, Solomon Thomas, I like that guy from last year. DeForest Buckner, he needs to step up and do more, in my opinion. Arik Armstead, he needs to step up and take that next step forward. Reuben Foster needs to take that step, and now that he's got some of these court cases behind him and he knows that he can still play, he needs to go ahead and take that step forward and become the linebacker everybody thought he was going to be coming out. Richard Sherman, you add him to the secondary. That's a great pickup. That adds veteran leadership to that back end. You can't beat that. He's going to help teach all of those guys they got going right there. You saw Jimmy Ward getting into it in the scrimmage the other day with, who was it? DeAndre Hopkins, I believe. He's going to help Witherspoon out. He's going to have a great effect on that secondary. And that's as they're built right now. We'll see what happens. There could be more moves to make. And Jerick McKinnon, he's new to the team. Richard Sherman, he's new to the team, coming over from Seattle and Washington. They lose Carlos Hyde. He goes over and joins Cleveland. So we'll see how that running back changed from Carlos Hyde to a Jerick McKinnon. Who Jerick McKinnon, obviously, he's not going to be the bell cow, if you will. He's going to be a weapon. He's going to be one of a guy. You get Mike McGlinchey, like I said, in the draft. You get Dante Pettis in the draft. And Kyle Shanahan, I do think, is a nice young coach. I think he's going to do it his way. He's been afforded the freedom to do it his way. He's picked his guys. You know, Robert Saleh is defensive coordinator. Richard Hightower is a special teams coordinator. Kyle Shanahan is pretty much the offensive coordinator, so they don't really have that designation anywhere. He brings on a John Embry, who I've been coached by back when I was in Little League, and he was a coach at a camp I went to. And he was an NFL player at the time and a CU great. And I think he's an excellent coach. So it's great to see him there with the tight ends and as assistant head coach. You know, being able to get in the ear and have that experience. So I think they're taking the right steps forward in San Francisco. I think they're starting to build. And they're not going to overspend in areas. They know they have time to go ahead and work this team out the way they see it. The ownership has provided them that stance. 49ers, you know, I'll just give her props because why not? I'm giving the male coaches their props. The offensive assistant, Katie Sowers, works for the 49ers. So another NFL team stepping up and having a female coach, even though, let's see, her title is seasonal offensive assistant. So she'll probably be let go at the end of camp or maybe at the end of this season or something like that. But still, all the props to her. If you know the game, you can coach the game. That's all it requires is knowing the game. And I mean, shoot, Kyle Shanahan, sure, he played college football, but he wasn't the greatest receiver out there by any means. And he makes for a pretty good head coach. For the 49ers, kind of a, you know, I'm having trouble finding an easy schedule as I go through and do my predictions this year. Normally you look at a schedule and it's like, wow, that broke down pretty easy for a team. But with some of the fluctuation that's happened this year, I couldn't really find an easy schedule. So key games for them, weeks 12 through 17 can make or break their season. You know, they could they could be a 6-10 team if that stretch doesn't go good for them. And, you know, for a 6-10 team last year to come in and improve, you have another off season with this new leadership, and you if you don't get better than 6-10, that's going to start making people question and wonder and second guess. So I do think they'll finish better than 6-10, but that last stretch, weeks 12 through 17 for the 49ers, consists of the following opponents, okay? And this is coming out of their bye. Week 11's their bye. So they come out, they have Tampa Bay, okay? Not too big. At Tampa Bay, however. So cross coast. Then they go at Seattle. Home against Denver, who's looking much better this year. Home against Seattle. So there's Seattle twice in a 3-week span. Chicago, who could be a trap game at that point because the next week they're at LA to finish the season. So that stretch of games is key. They're going to have to be in it. It's playoff football coming out of their bye week in week 11. I have them going 8-8. I think that's about where they are for this season. All right, let's go into the Cardinals. This is an interesting team. So where we sit right now, they've added some players, they've lost some players, some guys have retired. They're trying to set themselves up for the future, maybe at different positions. They've got different coaches, all kinds of things going on with this team. Sam Bradford's there, they bring in Josh Rosen, they bring over Mike Glennon, he's like another Paxton Lynch. What are we doing with these guys? Cut them free. David Johnson's back and looking healthy. To me, he's one of the better backs in the league, if not the best back in the league when he is healthy. You have Edmonds and Foster behind him. You got Derek Coleman at the linebacker position. Larry Fitzgerald is a stud to this day. You bring in Christian Kirk in the draft. Ricky Seals-Jones, Gabe Holmes. We'll see where they end up going with their tight end position. Andre Smith comes over. Justin Pugh comes over. So veteran right side of their offensive line. Lupati's still there. DJ Humphries is still there. You have Bryce Butler, J.J. Nelson on the other side. So some pieces. They're young. Sam Bradford's nothing if he's not accurate as a quarterback. He's not always healthy, but nonetheless. Defensive line, I'd like to see Kimdichie take another step this year for sure. Get that power game going a little bit. He was, I think, decent, but I wanted to see more out of him by the end of the season. Benson Mawa, he should take a step forward. Chandler Jones is a beast. Anybody would want them on his team. I guess except New England. Hassan Reddick should take another step forward. You know, he lived off athleticism a little bit last year. I think he takes another step forward with the help of veterans like Josh Bynes, who re-signed, and Deion Buchanan. Scooby Wright, whose name I just love, he's there again. Arizona guy. Patrick Peterson, one of the best in the game. I mean, I'm naming names, but it's almost the whole team. This is a team that had a down year last year. Budda Baker, he's, stepping into the places of Tyrann Mathieu. Antoine Bethea is still there. Trey Boston's there. So they've got these pieces to be a good defense once again. Will they? I don't know. Like I said, they bring over a Sam Bradford. They bring over a Justin Pugh and Andre Smith. So they're getting better on the offensive side of the ball. But they lose Justin Bethel, Josh Brown, Tyrann Mathieu, Drew Stanton, Tremont Williams. So veteran leadership, quality guys. Some a little long in the tooth, and really, it wasn't that big of a loss. It was just more of a coach on the field, a guy who'd been there and seen some stuff, like a Tremont Williams. Drew Stanton, I think, is an excellent backup. Tyrann Mathieu, probably the second best, if not the best player they had on their defense, is now gone. Justin Bethel, he's a veteran guy. And Josh Brown, where he was injured a lot, when he was healthy, he was clicking with Carson Palmer. Now, new quarterback this year, maybe not that big of a loss. In the draft, like I said, Josh Rosen. Okay, you bring in the UCLA product. You're clearly grooming him. He's a perfect backup, in my opinion, to a Sam Bradford. You bring in the athletic receiver Christian Kirk, a Mason Cole. And this is all under new coaches. Arizona's got Steve Wilkes came in, and he's the new head coach, first time being a head coach in the NFL. He pieced together his staff with guys. Mike McCoy, here in Denver, left a sour taste in the mouth. Didn't appreciate how, fans here didn't appreciate how he ran the offense and dealt with the quarterbacks, and was looking to be a head coach again. And it didn't work out for him. So now he's the offensive coordinator somewhere else. We'll see. He was a good offensive coordinator, I think, when he was in Denver the first time. I think he did a decent job there in San Diego, but they've just been bitten with the injury bug for a decade. And he didn't do so well when he returned to Denver. So now he's got another opportunity here with Steve Wilkes in Arizona. Defensive coordinator Al Holcomb. Special teams coordinator Jeff Rogers. Former offensive lineman Ray Brown, they're coaching the offensive line. And you know how I feel about former players being the coaches. They also have Terry Allen with the running backs, Byron Leftwich working with the quarterbacks, Jason Michael working with the tight ends. They have Steve Hayden working with the offensive line. I mean, that's a cut. Larry Foote on the defensive side of the ball working with the linebackers. And these are just the names that are jumping out to me, right? We'll see if these guys can coach. We don't know. First year coach, he might just be, picking guys that look good to him that he wants to give a shot to. So I got this team going 6-10. I think it's going to be a little bit of a down year. I think they have other teams in the division that are gonna that are on the rise right now, that are gonna beat them in certain games. Everything after their bye week against the NFC North, the AFC West, and in their division are key games for them. Because at 6, where I see them at 6-10, if they go through that stretch strong, they're probably more like a 10-6, and they're probably competing for a playoff spot. But that stretch after their bye week against the NFC North teams, the AFC West teams, and their division games, I think will be rough for this Cardinals team. Even with all of those players I listed, based on what we saw last year. New system, new coaches coming in this year. It's a similar fear. I think I had Detroit. I think I predicted them at something like 8-8. But now watching them so far 2 games through the preseason and getting ready to watch them again this weekend as my favorite team, I would readjust that prediction at this point, and I would drop them down to right now they're looking like a 6-10, 5-11 type team. Now things can change. At some point it could click. The new system could work. But in these situations, I'm kind of predicting lower results. So I have them at 6-10. All right. The Los Angeles Rams. Key arrivals for them, obviously, in Ndamukong Suh. They lose Tremaine Johnson. They lose Sammy Watkins. They bring in a Marcus Peters. They bring in Aqib Talib. They bring in, a lot of big names to help that defense. They're pretty stacked on the offensive side of the ball, but they also bring in a Brandon Cooks. So you have Jared Goff, worked great with McVay. McVay made him blossom, turned him into a usable quarterback when everybody, including myself, was writing him off. They have the stud in Todd Gurley, Malcolm Brown behind him, Brandon Cooks out there at receiver, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp. I predicted he'd have a better rookie season, but still a very good rookie season for him last year. Tyler Higbee and Gerald Everett. You got the old man, Andrew Whitworth. You got Roger Saffold, John Sullivan, Jamon Brown, and Rob Havenstein on the offensive line. Cornelius Lucas is probably your swing tackle from Detroit. Defensive side of the ball, this is where I'm excited to see what Wade Phillips is going to do with this defense this year. And everybody should be. You look at the names that they have, and that's granted if they get this Aaron Donald situation figured out and he comes in and he plays and he has an Aaron Donald type season. But you have Michael Brockers and Ndamukong Suh, Aaron Donald as your front. You've got Matt LaGrace as your will, Samson Ubakam, Corey Littleton, Mark Barron as your linebackers. Then on your back end, you got Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib, John Johnson, LaMarcus Joyner. That defense is going to fly around. It's going to be physical. You got Sam Shields as another corner, veteran with experience. It's going to be fun to watch if this defense clicks, if they can pick up Wade Phillips' system. It's going to be fun to see what they pull off. It really is. To see how they're going to... I mean, what do you do with Sue and Donald lined up next to each other? Who gets double teamed and who do you leave in a one-on-one? In the draft, they get the defensive end, Ogobania Alcoronco. Man, I'm sorry I said your name wrong, but you're a quality defensive end. They also bring in a running back, John Kelly, who's going to be another weapon, and I think be a nice addition there behind Todd Gurley. Sean McVay coming into year 2. You can't beat the results from year 1, can you? I mean, 11-5, playoff run. You got Wade Phillips as a defensive coordinator. You got John Fossil doing your special teams. Aaron Cromer running game. And you know he's clicking there. You have... who was I just thinking of? They have... God, I can't think of the guy's name now. Anyway, they got another guy that I was impressed with his coaching last year. And this is a stud team, right? So stud games are where you want to see this is key for them. So week 15, they have the Eagles. That's going to be a stud game. Defending Super Bowl champions, Eagles are still as good as they were last year. They have Carson Wentz back. If he stays healthy, he'll be playing in week 15. You have AFC West games, weeks 8 through 10, Seattle and Green Bay, New Orleans. Week 4, you have Minnesota. A lot of big games for the Rams. AFC West is going to be strong. Chargers are going to be strong. Raiders may be strong. Broncos are looking much better, and I'm not just saying that because I live in Denver. Kansas City's looking young and talented and fast. Then 8 through 10, you go Seattle, Green Bay, New Orleans. All that being said, I think they go 11-5 again this year. I think they have the upper hand. I think that offense is something else. I expect that defense to be lethal. It's going to be fun to watch. I hope I'm wrong, because then the Lions got a better chance of getting in the playoffs. And then that leaves us with the Seattle Seahawks. The once great, now kind of departed, broken down, dysfunctional, I don't know, what have you. It's a Seahawks team that used to have a lot of names. We're missing some of the names. We're missing, some of the veterans. Some of the guys don't want to be there anymore. They're asking to be traded. You still have some guys. You got a fighter in Doug Baldwin, right? You got, let me find Justin Britt. He's a fighter. Dwayne Brown, he's a fighter. Looking at their roster here, trying to find some fighters. Mike Davis. Okay, Mike Davis. 4 years out of South Carolina. It's time to make a nice little stamp. DJ Fluker, you're looking for a comeback. They gave you a shot. Don't mess this one up. Rasheem Green out of USC. You a rookie. Go in there and wreck shop. Shaquem Griffin, son. You joined your brother Shaquille. Go up there and make that defense something. You having a great preseason. You all heart. You all football. No, one hand or not. You don't need hands. You are a gamer, son. He is a fighter for sure. They bring over Sebastian Janikowski. If his leg is healthy, if he's healthy, I think he'll still be able to kick real nice for him. Maybe not from the 50 range anymore. We'll have to see. Tyler Lockett, okay. Time to step up. Richardson's gone. Brandon Marshall, they need you to be who I thought you would be for the Jets. I thought you'd be that key reception guy. Byron Maxwell, you're back as of last year. They need more out of you on that back end. Bagarvius Mingo, who they bring over, they need you wrecking shop from the outside. Rashad Penny, they bring him in the draft. Russell Wilson's going to need more help this year than he got last year if Seattle's going to get through. That offensive line's going to have to play better. Doug Baldwin's going to have to get a lot out of that receiver room. Bobby Wagner's going to have to get a lot out of his linebacker group. KJ Wright, Eric Walden, Bobby Wagner, those guys are going to have to step up. They're going to have to give a great season on the defensive side of the ball. Like I said, key arrivals, Janikowski, Mingo, Fluker, and a fresh start. Maybe they get something out of them. They bring in an Ed Dixon, who is a big target for Cam Newton down in Carolina. They lose a lot of pieces, however, too. They lose the Jimmy Graham, the Thomas Rawls, the Sheldon Richardson, the Richard Sherman, Deshaun Sneed, Luke Wilson. Cam Chancellor's probably never going to play again. We still don't know what's going to happen with Earl Thomas or how he's going to eventually come back and mix in with his team now that he's been wanting to leave. Only because they won't sign him long term. You get pieces like Rashad Penny, Rasheem Green, Shaquem Griffin in the draft. You still have that coaching staff with Pete Carroll, with Ken Norton Jr. as the defensive coordinator, Brian Schottenheimer in there as the offensive coordinator, Brian Schneider as the special teams coordinator. So pieces keep changing there over the years. Nate Carroll is the wide receiver coach. I didn't realize that. You have former linebacker Larry Izzo, assistant special teams coach. I really like that pick. That's pretty good right there. I like that as a coach quite a bit. I would like to play for Larry Izzo led special teams for sure. Key games for Seattle. I have the Seattle Seahawks going 9-7 this year. Right about where they were last year, let's be honest. Week 7 is their bye week. Okay. After week 7, they go to Detroit, home against San Diego, at LA, home against Green Bay, at Carolina, home against San Francisco, home against Minnesota, at San Francisco, home against Kansas City, home against Arizona. Whoo! Are you kidding me? Their easy game in that stretch after week 7 would be at Detroit. Now, if Detroit, who has the talent to be a good team this season, but is not putting it in place so far, but they have the talent. They have pieces on the offensive line. They have weapons at linebacker. They have tight ends who can catch and block. They have receivers. They have some defensive line pieces. They have secondary pieces. They don't have 3 corners. They got one really good one. They got some safety. They're really deep at safety. But nonetheless, I digress. The Lions are probably their easiest game. The Chargers are going to be good. That defense wrecks shop. Then you have the Rams, the Packers, the Panthers, the 49ers twice, the Vikings, the Chiefs, and the Cardinals. That's a rough stretch for a Seattle team that doesn't have as much talent as it used to. So I think 9-7 is probably what they're looking at best this year, unless there's some magic that comes out of Seattle. Like, I'm not trying to hate. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. They've replenished some pieces. They've let some guys go. They're clearly going to have to start rebuilding on the defensive side of the ball. That's why you bring in a Rasheem Green, a Shaquem Griffin, Shaquille Griffin last season. You're going to try and get as much as you can if you're getting rid of Earl Thomas. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's ludicrous. As well as this helmet rule. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I would like to scream and shout and break stuff and complain and show everybody how that's not football and say, you know what? If you don't like it and you know what it is now, you don't have to play and you don't have to watch. It's not for you, and that's fine. But to complain and make it that we have to change what we love about the game, and that is the physical nature. That is some of the violence that's part of the game. It's not realistic. This rule is not possible. It's idiotic. It's not based in physics. Like, you have to defy physics for this game to happen. Mark Storess said, hey, NFL, I believe I have a solution to the helmet tackling issue. It's less idiotic than the rule you came up with in the offseason. And he shows a video of Waterboy drop kicking the guy. And that is. Because right now, he also said, unless there are going to be a bunch of turtles out there, and all of a sudden you can retract your head, There's no way you can do that. You can't move forward in a tackling position of any kind without your head being in front of you. So the idea of leading with the head is moronic. Richard Sherman. There's no make adjustment to the way you tackle. Even a perfect form tackle, the body is led by the head. The rule is idiotic and should be dismissed immediately. When you watch rugby players tackle, they are still led by their head. Will be flag football soon. He posted a video of a rugby tackle. They do lead with your head. Even after they make contact and then go into their role in the rugby tackle, they're still leading with their head. They're still in an inclined position. Their head is still down because they're in that inclined position. Mike Zimmer says it's going to cost people jobs in their careers. Players are going to get kicked out of the league and leave because of this new rule. It could also end up getting more guys hurt. Chris Spielman, he says simple solution to the helmet rule. Number 1, narrow the contact area to only the top or the crown of the helmet. It's much easier to discern for the officials. 2, if no contact made, even if head is down with top or crown, no penalty. At NFL, own study, hits with face mask, first 0 concussions. So there you go. There's a way around this. I saw somebody on Twitter asked, what's the difference between this new rule and the current spearing rule and the current helmet-to-helmet unnecessary roughness rule? Well, there's not. This rule is ridiculous. It's asinine. It didn't need to be implemented. They needed to enforce and train the referees better, re-up the skills each year, go back, watch the tape, say this one is, this one isn't. They didn't need to change it. They didn't need to bow down to the pressure because they were sued. Own up to your mistakes in the past. Take responsibility for them. Don't try and change football into something it's not. Don't put the defensive players in a position where they're not going to be able to do their job. I mean, Mark Soreth, I heard him say this also. If you wanted to set the game up for scoring, you just did it. Because a new form tackle, I saw this too. Somebody joked, the new form tackle is going to be how the guy missed the tackle last year in the Saints-Vikings game at the end. Where you run up and don't touch the person. You miss them. Because you can't tackle them anymore. You can't hit them high. You can't hit them low. You can't hit them before they get a chance to start running. You can't break up a pass physically. You can't meet them at the ball. Now you can't tackle them. You can't, I mean, are you watching these tackles? These guys are coming in form tackle. You want to hit at the thigh. You want to take out their lower leg. They're wrapping up. They're coming low. They're firing in. And they're getting penalized. They're getting fined. That's not football. That's not real. It's not what we're about here at Real Deal Sports Talk. It's not what the NFL should be about. And until next time, you know how we do. Just be real.
D-Town, can you vibe to this? A D-Town getting down to this. Can you get down to this? The party's rocking and the crowd was lit. The beats knocking in the sound system. And D-Town's in here. We hit the lick to get some crown to sip. The pivot's hitting like a pound of bricks. Took a powerful rip and felt like a time traveler trip. My mind drifting to the cloudy abyss. Took my chalice and sip. Chicks admire how I'm styling my fit. I acknowledge with the smile of a prince. Can tell I'm piling my chips. The party's rocking, everybody was bent. Nobody wildin', ain't no violence in here. We all lounging for real. The smooth sounds got us vibing and shit. And D-Town steady riding to this. Can you get down to this? The party's rocking and the crowd was lit. The beats knocking in the sound system. And D-Town's a hit. We hit the lick to get some crown to sip. The pip is hitting like a pound of brick. Can you get down to this? The party's rocking and the crowd is lit. The beats knocking in the sound system. And D-Town's a hit. We hit the lick to get some crown to sip. The pip is hitting like a pound of brick. Can you get down to
Living
this?
life to the fullest, it's an everyday philosophy. Walk up in the spot and get the party popping properly. Ain't no beef now, we just chilling inside. All the energy is positive, we feeling that vibe. Politicking with my people, we get the reminiscing how we flipped the whole script. Now we in better position, still be on a mission, turning dreams to fruition. Getting street knowledge, no fees, intuition. Think about the future, how we need to teach children. Already reached thousands, we about to reach millions. Break the glass ceiling, how your ass feeling? Like a superhero on these comic book villains in the Mile High City. You know we stay blazing. I'm high off this life though, the feeling is amazing. Never had nothing, now every day is celebrated. Glasses elevated tonight.
Can
we
you get down to this? The party's rocking and the crowd is lit. The beats knocking in the sound system. And D-Town's a hit. We hit the lick to get some crown to sip. The pip is hitting like a pound of bricks. Can you get down to this? The party's rocking and the crowd is lit. The beats knocking in the sound system. And D-Town's a hit. We hit the lick to get some crown to sip. The pip is hitting like a pound of bricks. Can you get down to this? Can you get down to this?